In this video, I'm going to talk all about mechanisms, which is a funny little unique marketing term that you've probably heard of before, but maybe you've never understood what is it or how do you actually build one. When it comes to mechanisms, there are very, very few trainings out there, and so I wanted to make this video so that you can learn what a mechanism is, how to build it, how to inject it into your marketing, and ultimately use them to scale your business. So let's dive right in. When you think about mechanisms, I would encourage you to think of a mechanism almost like a moat around your business or around your castle, which we'll talk about here in a second. But when you think about what a moat is or what a mechanism is, it essentially is the mechanism that drives up perceived value in the marketplace, which ultimately actually creates exclusivity into your business for why your business, your product, your service is the thing to go to and how it can't be compared to other competitors. And so it's really important, especially if your business is in a sophisticated market, you have a lot of competitors or a lot of them are using the same thing or your products have a few differences between them. Creating a proper mechanism is the thing that can separate you from everyone else and make you the most desired product or business that customers will come to. So before we talk about mechanisms specifically, we first have to talk about market sophistication, give a brief overview if you don't know what they are already, because mechanisms play a vital role when you get into the later stages of sophistication. So real quick, as a brief rundown, in fact, if you want a really deep breakdown of what the levels of sophistication are, you can click around this video. There's going to be a link here that will take you to that full in-depth training. But as a brief overview, Eugene Schwartz says that there are 5 stages of sophistication that markets rely on. Market sophistication, according to Eugene Schwartz, is a measure of how mature your market is based on all the products and ads that they've seen before, aka how noisy is the marketplace, right? And so stages 1 is when it's a brand new product. You're the first to the market. You really don't need mechanisms. All you have to do is talk about what is the product, what does it do, and you'll get success. Going to stage 2 is when it's a newer market and you're maybe second or third to the marketplace. So there's very low competition. Stage 3 is when the market has started to hear all of the claims that everyone is saying about their products or services. There's not really anything unique. Stage 4 is when you start going from promises, just claims about what your product or service does, into what sets you apart. What is unique about your product or service that allows you to deliver a better result than your competitors. And then stage 5 is essentially a dead market. You have to essentially think really outside of the box because the market has heard all of the claims, the mechanisms don't really work, and you have to start thinking creatively about how to actually attract attention and maintain it. So that's just a brief overview of what the stages of sophistication are. With that said, let's go into moats. I want you to think about your place in the market as a castle, right? As a castle, that is the marketplace and that is where you host it, right? Let's say you're king of the hill at this moment. The moat is essentially the thing that surrounds your castle and helps protect your position in the marketplace, right? It is that thing that will protect your business from competitors just taking your market share, right? So as you can see in this image, right, it's like your customers, the market share, the market is that castle. This is your place. This is where you want to dominate. And your competitors are the ones who are trying to overtake the castle, right? They're trying to take your market share. The bigger or the better moat you can create around your castle, which in this training is your mechanism, the better the mechanism you can create around your product, around your service, the harder it is for your competitors to actually overtake you and therefore take your market share, right? And so that's why we're going to be talking about mechanisms, which ultimately to me is the moat of a business. So the larger the moat, the harder it is for competitors to overtake your castle, right? So the idea here is like not just how do I get a small little stream around, my castle, like maybe you've seen in, storybooks or whatever, but how can I make there an ocean around my castle so it's very, very difficult for people to try to overtake my place in the market, right? So with creating a moat, it comes with a mechanism, and a mechanism is essentially the proprietary person, method, or technology that allows you to fulfill on the claim or promise that you're projecting, right? This is that unique little thing that's inside of your product that no one else can rip off, right? If you think about the Krabby Patty and how they had this secret sauce, the secret ingredients of the Krabby Patty, and what was happening? Plankton was always trying to take the ingredients, right? Because that's what made them special. The mechanism in your business or your product, your service, the thing that helps you achieve the outcome that you are telling customers you can achieve, the specialty, the nuances of your method or technology or person, that is what makes you unique and special. That is your moat. And so with that said, there are 3 forms of mechanisms, right? The first one is a person, right? This is someone who is unique in skill, experience, or influence, and therefore this allows them to beat the competition, right? So you think about the brands out there that might have a unique person as the face, or it's a unique person's insight or skills, right? You think like Tony Robbins, you can't just replace Tony Robbins. So he is essentially part of the mechanism of his business. The second type of mechanism is a method. A method is a proprietary process that is positioned unique to you that allows for fulfillment of the claims. So this could be done in either two ways. Either A, it's the sequence of the process, right? So it's a unique sequence of events that allows for a better result. Or B, it's the combination, a unique combination of ingredients. Right? So you think about a lot of different things out there, like let's say Chick-fil-A sandwiches, right? There's a unique ingredients that they have that allows them to taste different, to be different, right? You go out to other restaurants, you don't taste any other sandwich that tastes just like Chick-fil-A. They have their own unique ingredients. Or if you think about a sequence, you can think about different beer manufacturers. They all process their beers differently, and they give a unique taste based on the process, the order of the process that they do those things in, right? So those are becoming a part of their mechanism. Or finally, the third type of mechanism is technology, right? And so there's three different types of technology mechanisms you can have. Either A, it's assistive, so it's a technology that helps assist a user to get better results, like a hearing aid. It's B, adaptive, so technology that learns and gets better over time. You think about Tesla's cars and how the more data they're receiving, the better their cars are at driving, right? So this is the adaptive type technology. Or C, it's independent, right? Technology that runs and operates successfully on its own. Right? So your business, what you want to look at is with our services or our products, what is the unique either person, method, or technology that we use that helps set us apart, that it makes us different from our competitors, right? We can achieve a better outcome because we do this unique thing. That's what you want to start thinking about. So once you have your mechanism or you're starting to identify your mechanism, the next is how do we get started, right? Well, ultimately, the purpose is to call out and demonstrate the thing that makes your product or service better than other options that your market has. So the reason why you want to start implementing a mechanism is in situations where you feel like you're being drowned out, right? Does it ever feel like everyone's sounding the same? When you go look at competitor ads, or you go looking at yours, you guys are all kind of saying the same thing. And this is why businesses, especially if you're in like the info space, coaching, consulting, online courses, this is why a lot of people are starting to struggle, is because everyone sounds the same. No one has a unique process, a unique technology, and most of them are just counting on the person, which realistically is normally the weakest form of mechanism. But you need to have something very unique that makes you stand out so that you don't sound like everyone else and consumers or prospects don't just ignore you, right? So there's two tips to follow here. One, create as many as possible, right? It must be true and it must be believable, right? So that you can demonstrate it. It has to be able to be demonstrated, or you can clearly educate people on it and their logical brains go, okay, that makes sense, right? So the first thing is when you're trying to create a mechanism for your business, you're looking at your products, your ingredients, everything, I want you to create a doc and just brain dump as many things that you can think of that makes your process, your business, your product unique, and you just want to dump them onto a page, right? So this is going to be the process of how do you come up with the ultimate mechanism for the business. The first thing is just drop as many as you can onto a doc as you can think of. The next thing is it must fascinate your reader, right? So sometimes you need to pull benefits back down to biology, right? So the idea here is that when you're looking at this doc, you've dumped all your ideas, what makes us unique, all the things that are special to us. You want to start taking a look at all the options that you put on the doc and start asking yourself, like, what would fascinate the reader, right? Because you can't just have a mechanism that feels boring and expect it to increase your conversions. It's got to fascinate someone. When someone sees it, they go, ooh, that's really cool. That's why that business or that marketing, that product, that service is unique, because they have that one thing, right? So you want to make sure it fascinates them. And the way you do that is either A, it has to be new information to them, right? So this mechanism, the reason why your service or your product is better than the competitors, it has to be, oh, because it's new information, not just information that anyone would already know or guess, but it's new, or it sparks curiosity, right? Like, oh, how does that process work? Or how did they get that to happen, right? Or it's a future-paced solution, right? So you want them to start daydreaming. How you fascinate people is to start getting them to daydream about their future where they're using your product or your service and it's solving their problems that they have right now, right? So the more you can get them to think about the future of this problem being solved because of this mechanism or this product that you have, the better attention it's going to have, the more retention you're going to get from them, which gives you a higher chance of conversion. And to illustrate this concept, one of my favorite quotes from Eugene Schwartz says this: make it easier, quicker, or sure. Allow it to solve more of the problem than your competitors. Overcome old limitations and promise extra benefits, right? So as you're coming up with these mechanisms, you have to first make sure all of it's true. But B is you want to make sure that in some way, because of this mechanism that you have, it allows the product to deliver a solution that is quicker, sure, or easier for the prospect, for the customer. And if you can get your mechanism to clearly illustrate why it's so special or why it makes it easier, quicker, or surer for them, that's when you really start to get a potent mechanism which will increase your marketing's results. The second part of that is you want it to show how it solves more of the problem, right? Because of this unique thing that we have, because of this unique process, person, or technology, because we have that, it now allows us to solve more of your problem, right? And it also makes it the old limitations, like because the old limitations, the old products, the other competitors, their limitation stops here. But because we have this mechanism, it allows us to actually solve it to here. It's all about showing them that because of this one unique thing, we get to serve you better because of it. All right, so now that you have your mechanism, you started to create it, you have it articulated, how do you actually start getting it merged into your advertising, right? How do you start implementing it? Introducing the mechanism can really be done in 3 ways here. First, you can simply name the mechanism, right? When a prospect or your market is already familiar with a process or a method, then simply naming it will suffice, right? But this is rare. So in moments where essentially the market is already kind of familiar with a unique process, well, let's say it's distilling or baking a cookie or something like that, when they're already familiar with it, sometimes all you need to do is just name the mechanism, and that'll already make you sound unique, right? You want to make sure it sounds unique to you. The second way you can do this, though, is by describing the mechanism, which is build a strong, quick promise and then follow up with the reason why you can deliver that promise. Describe how it all works in detail. A mistake that I see many people make when it comes to mechanisms or introducing mechanisms into marketing is that they are trying to be clever, but by trying to be clever, they lose their clearness, right? And so in marketing, oftentimes it's much better to be clear than clever, because if you're clever, there's a high chance that you could confuse the prospect or disrupt their mental flow. And so when you have a mechanism, you want to clearly be able to demonstrate why it's special, why it's unique, and why it's going to give them a better result than the competitors. And you want to do this in a very logical way so that when someone sees it, they're using their logical mind to go, oh, that makes sense. They are clearly better than the other options I was looking at. So again, make sure you're being clear rather than just being clever. Finally, the other way you can introduce it is by featuring the mechanisms. For high sophistication markets, the mechanism is so important to success for your products that you must bring it to the main focus. So in a situation where you have a ton of competitors all saying the same things, all having the same claims, or your market has already heard all the claims, the mechanism starts to become the main focus for you. You can see this in various offers where they do similar coaching programs, let's say it's in real estate or whatever, and people start to come up with their own unique names, example like the Gator method for Pace Morby. This is a mechanism for his unique process to how he delivers or teaches people how to invest in real estate. And so your business needs to be able to identify that if you're in high sophistication markets. Next, I want to show you some examples of the different mechanism styles. First, let's take a look at an assistive technology, which is a mechanism.
It's amazing. Watch how OxyClean unleashes the power of oxygen, making tough stains disappear like magic without fading or bleeding the colors.
So this is a great example of an assistive technology because essentially what it's doing is it's saying it's unleashing the power of oxygen to remove stains from your clothing or from different items, right? This is an assistive technology mechanism because it is essentially taking one of the things that helps remove stains like oxygen and it's expanding it, it's energizing it, it's making it better, right? So you can notice how they're using this mechanism to say this is what it does and it enhances the results you would get from the past. And then it compares it to things like chlorine bleach. Right? So this is a great example of an assistive type technology mechanism.
Don't just clean it, OxyClean it.
Next, let's take a look at independent technology.
Hi, Phil Swift here for Flex Tape, the super strong waterproof tape. that can instantly patch, bond, seal, and repair. Flex tape is no ordinary tape.
Its triple thick adhesive virtually welds itself to the surface, instantly stopping the toughest leaks.
That was an example of a independent technology, and you can notice how their mechanism of talking about flex tape, and it's their triple thick adhesive that works on its own. And you can notice how they did a really great job of demonstrating the different ways that it can actually help. And then they also take examples of things like that wouldn't have worked with tape in the past, the other types of tape, and how this one, this special kind, because of its unique triple thick adhesive, can now accomplish all of these items, right? And so they do a really great job of demonstrating it. But the cool thing I like about this ad and showing you this independent technology mechanism is you can see how simple it was. They didn't have to make a big fancy deal about what is the mechanism. Their mechanism was that it's triple thick bonded adhesive, right? So it was super, super simple. They mentioned it once, and then it's all about demonstration. And so all I really want you to think about here is when you're coming up with mechanisms for your business, it doesn't have to be so scientific or fancy. It just needs to be a unique reason why your product or service can deliver better results than the competitors. So just take that in mind as you think about what is the mechanism, how should we actually create it. It doesn't have to be super fancy, it just has to be the reason why you're unique. Finally, let's take a look at a method type of mechanism. All right, so for this method type of mechanism, I'm gonna give you a demonstration of a product like Liquid IV, right? And so you can see mechanisms, especially in consumables or product-based goods all the time, especially in kind of like performance or energy drinks or things like that, where they have a unique mechanism that they call the hydration multiplier. This is their unique mechanism for their product. And basically the reason why it's a hydration multiplier is because when you look at the ingredients, it contains dextrose, sugar, sodium, and some electrolytes, which by themselves are not unique, but however, because they're the ingredients, because it's in the mixture of Liquid IV, it is now a unique mechanism that they're labeling as a hydration multiplier. Why is this? Well, because when they've added the sugars and sodium and electrolytes into this packet and you mix it with water, you will be hydrated faster than you would just with water. So therefore, they've taken those ingredients, they put a mechanism on it called the hydration multiplier, and now it's unique compared to all their other competitors because their competitors cannot say that they have a hydration multiplier in their product because now this is a copyright. This is something that Liquid IV has now claimed as theirs. Even though the ingredients in and of themselves are not inherently unique, because they've put a label on it, it now feels unique compared to their competitors, which is the hydration multiplier. So this is a great example of a type of method mechanism that you can do inside of your business. What is it about your product or service that allows it to achieve the claim or the result? Their competitor is water. They're saying that this product will help hydrate you better than if you just had water, so you should be adding it with it. And so because of these ingredients that are fairly basic, they can put a mechanism on it, call it hydration multiplier, and now all of a sudden they've got a mechanism that gives their product a higher perceived value. Cool, so now that you know what a mechanism is, what are the different types of mechanisms, and how to start injecting them into your advertising and marketing, to wrap up this video, the last thing that we really want to cover is just to understand the stages of sophistication, but also really just the stages of claims in general. As you're creating marketing for your product or your service or your business and you want it to stand out from your competitors, we understand that first we all start with a promise or a claim, right? You have a product or service, the first thing we do is tell the market what it does, why it does what it does. But then we move into the how, the higher stages of sophistication you get, which is ultimately where you start injecting mechanisms that describes the unique how for your business of what does the mechanism do and how does it allow you to achieve the promise, the what, in a better, faster, or more sure way. Then finally, you move into why when you get really into stages 5 of sophistication, where mechanisms won't cut it by themselves. You have to start building marketing around identity, which can be covered in a future video. But for today, we've covered the how, we've covered the mechanism. Now that you've watched this video, take the time, don't rush into creating mechanisms, take your time with it, because if you create a mechanism right, it can be the thing that separates you from owning the castle versus trying to get into the castle itself on the other side of the moat. So make sure you're building moats that are bigger than your competitors and you won't be overtaken and you'll maintain the castle. If you like nerdy videos like this, like and subscribe for more.